here. Set that temperature a little higher so we can cut down on the noise. Don't want the air conditioning to blow out the microphone like it often does. I know that bugs you guys. I don't want it to. Okay, that should work better. So hi. I recorded a couple of vlogs over the past couple of days, but I've decided not to upload them because, well, it's kind of stupid. I didn't say much very useful, and it's one of those rare moments where I said something that I should probably not post, at least not publicly and not yet. I've been good for, I want to say good for almost a year in not getting ahead of myself and speaking when I shouldn't. So, yeah, I know I'm being vague about that stuff, but about this, but it's almost over. Yes, it's related to my divorce, but right. So, I will revisit those topics that I blabbed about over the past couple of days when I have the opportunity, and that should be coming fairly soon. We're almost done. One last thing to do, and that's assuming she gets it done today like she's supposed to, then I'll get my part done on Monday, and that will be the end of it. No more encumbrances on each other or any other required interaction. It'll be all done 100%, and then I'll be free to speak my mind. But anyway, no, I wanted to talk about a different topic that I think is really, well, it just spurred my interest a couple hours ago when Red Letter Media posted a review episode about Event Horizon, a movie from the late 90s. I want to say, Red Letter Media is pretty good, and I often agree with them, not always, but that's kind of what opinions are for. Everybody's got them. Oh, shit. No, don't beep, you stupid thing. Right. I'm just not going to touch that anymore. Right, anyway. So, I like the show Review, but I fucking hate the music. The opening noise that passes for a theme song for that show. It's fucking obnoxious. But anyway. That's on their production guys. It's not really, I don't think it's, not the host's fault. But seriously, guys, change that fucking music. It's obnoxious. Anyway, they talked about Event Horizon, an old movie, science fiction / horror, and I think they said the reason it came up is that there's some brand new Blu-ray coming out where I guess it's 4K remastered from the original film print. So that sounds pretty awesome. I, of course, will not be buying that because I don't buy media anymore. But it may come into my possession at some point through educational means. Yar. I'm so subtle. Anyway, they came down kind of against the movie. They didn't like it. Rich absolutely hated it, and Jay, I think is his name, was a bit more closer to neutral, willing to forgive some of its goofs and foibles and give it some praise. And they offered the interesting hypothesis that the people who say they like the movie just remember seeing it when they were kids, and then they're suffering from nostalgia. Well, nah. I like that movie. It's got its warts, but I thought it was a pretty good outing. And I saw it in my early 20s. So the rose-colored lenses of childhood were not present. And so the movie itself was a commercial failure. It didn't do well in the theaters. And critics hated it because, creditors, that's a new word. Critics are imbeciles for the most part, and they don't, they don't like anything except for the woke trash that they're paid to like. And I don't listen to critics anyway. Who gives a shit what they think? I mean, who gives a shit what I think? Well, except for me and anyone that clicks this channel to laugh at my stupidity. Enough. So I want to talk about they skipped a couple of things that nobody else ever seems to really talk about when they bring up Event Horizon, and it bugs me because one of them is just sort of this weird character interaction that nobody ever seems to want to talk about. But the other is actually the central premise of the whole movie, which I think was handled really badly. And it was there's a nugget of a good idea in there, but the way it was executed was absolutely stupid. Now, you're probably, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? I just said that the very basic idea of the movie was done really badly. So why the hell do I like the movie? I like it because the characters are, for the most part, pretty reasonable. They're reasonably done. The acting is really good. Special effects are fantastic. And I know I said the premise of the movie was done really badly, but the core, no pun intended, idea is really good. It's just the details they kind of whiffed it on. And the movie came out 20 fucking years ago, so I'm not even going to bother giving you time to hit pause for spoilers. I guess I just did, but the whole premise of the movie is they built this starship that could go faster than light. They built it theoretically able to go faster than light, and they flew it out to the edge of the solar system on conventional drive. Then they went and suspended animation. The crew did. Then they push the button, and they make their FTL jump. I'll get to that. The technobabbles a bit different, but you get the idea. They execute their faster than light maneuver, and then the ship disappears. And 7 years pass, and that's when the events of the movie begin to unfold. You're introduced to the ship, Event Horizon, in an opening text crawler. Just says, oh yeah, so they built this ship, deep space exploration, and it fucked off 7 years ago and vanished, and nobody's seen it since. Oh, except, lol, it's back now. And the very first shot of the movie, that isn't just text, is in fact the Event Horizon from the outside. I think they actually show a couple interior shots too, but nothing special. But sure enough, the ship has returned from whence it came, or from wherever it went. God, it fucking rattle drives me crazy. Quit rattling, random thing. There, better. Right, so the idea of the movie is this faster than light ship. It's got a crew of 7 or 8 people, and it makes its first faster than light trip. Bad shit happens, and the ship disappears. And then 7 years later, the ship reappears, and wherever it went was bad, and it brought some of that bad back with it. And, as the movie goes on, they make it pretty obvious that the ship jumped to hell, or the gravity drive, as they call it, is it opens a gateway, as they call it. And so, yeah, the punchline is the ship opened a gateway to hell, went to hell, took its crew with it to hell. They hung out in hell for like 4 or 7 years. Then they came back. Well, the ship came back, because there ain't nobody alive on that thing when the rescue team gets to it. But it brought a piece of hell back with it, and the ship is haunted, or not really haunted, but alive. And it's in the mood to fuck with everybody. And oh, it does. And that's where the whole movie springboards from. And it's a neat idea, but the reason that I I say that it's executed badly is because of specifically where the ship is supposed to have gone. Why did it have to be hell? It was a movie trying to be science fiction / horror, and I get it. When you've got a horror movie, what's more horrific than the stereotypical image of hell? Bad place, demons poking you all over with red hot pokers, and all sorts of pain and suffering and misery happens there because it's a place for bad people to go to be punished. But okay, I guess that's a horror movie thing, but a science fiction movie. Why is it even necessary to make it literally the, Judeo-Christian hell? Or even, the Hellraiser style kind of hell, but that was really kind of leaning back Christian anyway. It just bugs me, because didn't have to do that. They could have just as easily, have decided or made it so that, the ship opened a gateway to some unknown space. They don't even have to get specific. You don't have to say something silly like, oh, it's another dimension, which is basically like another flavor of hell. But they could just say that it went somewhere. They don't know where. And it drove the crew mad. And you could even still keep the spooky haunted bit without it going straight to biblical hell stuff. The ghosts of the crew. The crew went batshit insane and they all killed each other or themselves, whatever. And they still could have had their blood orgies and all that other stuff and left the ship a huge mess, like they did in the movie. But, you could have made it a psychological thriller by just having the rescue crew starting to get the creeps being on the ship, finding, blood, dead bodies, mutilated dead bodies, and watching a ship's log with this big, huge orgy of actual sex and gouging out eyes and all this other gross stuff that happens, which is in the movie. The crew could have just gone nuts. The second crew could have just gone nuts on its own, kind of spooking themselves as they came across more and more stuff. Or you could have still kept it supernatural. It didn't have to go through hell. It's so cheesy. There's, that same plot device gets used in, I think it's the first 3 Doom games. Doom 1, Doom 2, and Doom 3. It's just the opening text that hints at it in the first 2 Doom games. But Doom 3 comes straight out and says it. They're working on teleporter technology, and technically speaking, it works, but it works by literally taking a shortcut to hell. It goes through hell to connect to, the destination of the teleporter. Which, again, I get it. It's like, okay, we want to do a supernatural thing, so cool. They have a better excuse for doing it, but it's still cheesy. It's science fiction stuff. Why are you bothering with hell? Those 2 genres don't really mix too well in my head. But anyway, it didn't work for Doom in my head, and it doesn't work for Event Horizon either. I think the only time I've ever seen a science fiction setting that involves something very hell-like that actually gets it right is Warhammer 40k. And only because that setting is so ridiculously over-the-top crazy, intentionally, that it works because it's just so utterly ludicrous. I mean, it's a setting where barely, orcs, like green-skinned orcs, that like to bang on things. They have starships that really only work because they really want them to. And their sheer force of will is powerful enough in the Warhammer 40k universe that it works. And their ships actually work solely on the premise that the orcs really just want them to. They want them to really badly. So the universe goes, you know what? I'll allow it. You got it. just bolt some more metal on the front. We'll make this fucker go. And oh shit, I gotta merge over. So I mean, the Warhammer 40K's version of Hell, it's actually pretty close to what's supposed to happen in Event Horizon. The difference is, in Event Horizon, the FTL jump is supposed to be instantaneous. They go with the folding space approach to FTL. Science fiction nerds will know what I'm talking about. Where you take two different positions in space and you fold the fabric of space-time so that those two places exist in the same spot in the real universe, and hopefully you're near it, and the drive punches a hole between the 2 points, which overlap while the jump drive is doing its folding bit. You fly through the hole, then the jump drive, or the gateway, whatever, undoes the fold, and all of a sudden you're at the destination. And this transition is supposed to be either instantaneous or damn near it. Like maybe at most it's however long it takes the ship to physically fly through the hole. But it's not a wormhole, it isn't, you have to go faster than light for X hours to travel there, whatever. It's literally just, here's a hole, fly through it, and you're there. So in Warhammer 40K, they have they kind of take the Babylon 5 approach, where ships that are FTL capable punch a hole in our universe, our dimension, and in Babylon 5, they jump into something called hyperspace. And when you travel in hyperspace, every point in hyperspace maps to a physical point in the real universe, except the mapping is tighter. So if you travel for 5 minutes in hyperspace, you've covered the same distance that might take you, I don't know, a month to travel on conventional drives in normal space. And so then you travel in hyperspace for as long as you need, whatever direction. Then you punch a hole back out into the real universe, you fly through it, and then you're at your destination. So in that universe, faster than light travel requires leaving our universe and going somewhere else, traveling for a while, and then coming back out. And that's what happens in Warhammer 40K as well. And the reason I bring both of these up is that in Babylon 5's version, hyperspace is dangerous. Not as dangerous as Warhammer's, because that gets really crazy. But in B5, you don't have to, but generally you want to use beacons, which are just attached to jump gates in real space. You can have your own jump drive and make your own jump points, but they, to save energy and make things safer and allow smaller ships to travel through hyperspace, there are also jump gates that are just built. And they can open the jump point for you, either coming or going, and they emit a beacon in hyperspace that lets you navigate. Because apparently if you're just hanging out in hyperspace in Babylon 5, if you switch off your engines and just drift, there are currents and basically kind of a hyperspace version of solar wind that can cheerfully knock you off course and drag you off into nothing. And so you get lost in hyperspace and can never be found again. So travel in hyperspace is dangerous in the sense that if you lose track of where you are, you're fucked. You could just be lost forever and never be able to get back home, or ever be found, for that matter. And the show also has telepaths, and apparently hanging out in hyperspace amplifies their powers or something. So there's a bunch of silliness and superstition surrounding that. And I think at one point they actually do encounter, I think it was the spin-off series Crusade, where they encounter creatures that live in hyperspace, that are just organic beings who just naturally hang out in hyperspace. I thought that was kind of neat, actually. It was funny. They end up humping the ship. Because, whatever. Got to throw something in there. But in Warhammer, it's basically the same idea as Event Horizon, except it's like Babylon 5, where you go into what they call it, the warp, and you travel in the warp for a certain amount of time, and then you come back out at your destination. And you've taken less time to travel the distance that would have taken longer to travel in normal space. Now, the warp is basically hell, complete with demons and like evil forces and other nasty things that totally want to fuck your shit up, really hate the fact that you're there, and would love nothing more than to devour your souls and tear your ship apart. So it's like the Event Horizon version of hell on steroids. And it's a major plot point in some of the lore and background of the game, of the setting. I don't know if they've actually done any like expansion packs or stories or whatever based on a ship inside the warp. They probably have, because it's a neat idea. But traveling in the warp is a dangerous proposition because, like I said, there are literal evil beings with supernatural powers that desperately want to get to the juicy humans and living creatures and their souls living inside these flying tin cans. So they have to have special shielding and energy fields protecting the ships at all times. Navigating it requires the amplified psychic efforts of a 10,000-year-old god emperor of mankind. I told you, the setting is really wild. And so the same kinds of things can happen. If you get lost in the warp, you're lost forever. You may never find your way home or anywhere you know. And if you lose your shielding for even a split second, the nasties that hang out in the warp can break into your ship and wreak havoc on its equipment and its occupants. And I'm pretty sure it's so bad that any ship that travels through the warp either has no windows on it at all, or the windows can be shut, like they have blast doors, because apparently even looking at the warp with your eyes is enough to drive you insane. So Warhammer 40k is an absolutely crazy ass setting. It's just so over the top insane that I think that's the only reason it really works. The whole notion of FTL travel requires flying through hell, complete with all the attendant madness that comes with that. But in Event Horizon, Babylon 5 did it differently. It's just physically hazardous. It's easy to get lost, and it's mechanically dangerous because there's lots of energy involved in opening a jump point, and it can be sabotaged or it can go wrong and bad things happen. But it isn't actively evil. But then you got Doom and Event Horizon, where in order to do FTL like in Event Horizon, or teleporting like in Doom, you gotta take a shortcut through hell, and then you go wherever you're going. So the awkward thing is, the movie never bothers explaining, it never answers the question, did the ship actually make it to Proxima Centauri, our nearest neighbor? The original plan of the ship was to fly out to the edge of the solar system and jump to our nearest neighbor, which is Proxima Centauri, or Alpha Centauri. I forget what they call it. One of the two. I think Proxima Centauri is right. So the movie never addresses whether the ship actually makes it. to its destination or not. It just, disappears for 7 years, reappears, and bad shit happens. I mean, okay, but I don't know, it's not very satisfying. They could have done so much more with that premise. Maybe have some of the crew survive at being, stuck for 7 years out at Proxima Centauri. Maybe they make it and things just go bad. My God, there's a lot of traffic out here. I know these guys aren't out here for what I'm out here for. One person at a time. Okay, here we go. Yay! Merge. But it's just weird. I don't know. It didn't work for me, and the teleporting thing in Doom didn't work either. Although going to hell is how they explain the appearance of all the demons, imps, pinkies, cyber demons, all that jazz. And then, of course, Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, they went way over the top with the whole hell thing. What exit is that? 267 booger. Right. And I guess they had to do that, or had to do something involving hell. Oh, shit! Just to have an excuse to, have demons appear. So, whatever. But Event Horizon, it just doesn't work. And so, yeah, that's the basic premise of the movie, and they got it wrong. But, they could have done better, and the core idea could have still survived. The ship goes somewhere, disappears, comes back years later, and things aren't quite right. You could totally still make it work. It didn't have to be hell. But then, so I've babbled about that for almost 30 goddamn minutes, sorry. So the other point that I want to bring up that nobody ever seems to touch on. There have been plenty of, I guess, some conversations about, did the ship really go to hell, or did something else happen? But the point that nobody ever really seems to talk about or bring up is Dr. Weir, who is played by Sam Neill, great actor, and he does a fantastic job in the movie. All the actors really did a good job. He's the doctor, the scientist who built the gravity drive. So he's the lead or the designer or the guy who physically invented it and put it in a ship. And so he goes along for the ride on the rescue mission to go all the way out to Neptune to try to recover the Event Horizon and rescue its crew. And, bring the ship back home so they can figure out what in hell happened to it. No pun intended. So the crew of the rescue ship, called the Lewis and Clark, they're all looking forward to shore leave. And then it gets canceled at the last second because the Event Horizon reappears and Lewis and Clark gets picked or assigned the rescue mission to go out there and do their thing. So they're all pissed off. The whole crew is grouchy that, much needed shore leave got canceled and blah, blah, blah. We hate this stupid mission. Fuck that ship. Fuck this doctor. Now, and that's part of what really bugs me. I get it that they're not happy about getting shore leave canceled. I mean, obviously that sucks. You plan on a vacation and then, life says, lol, fuck you, no vacation. Sucks. But Dr. Weir is not the average science fiction bookworm scientist guy forced to tag along with a bunch of basically clueless hicks flying, doing some space trucking to rescue some of them egghead scientists. It's not like that. All of the people on the Lewis and Clark, the crew, are competent, skilled, experienced, and professional officers. Like they're part of some military organization. And so they're supposed to be professionals. Now I know that's a whole different thing with military people, but the other thing that makes Dr. Weir stand out is that he is not even remotely patronizing or insulting or unfriendly or snobby towards the rest of the crew. He is thoroughly excited to be a part of it and to be going out on a rescue mission with them. He tries to tell them as much, and the captain shits on him as much as the rest of the crew does. I'm sure you're happy to be here, Dr. Weir, but we are not. I'm like, well, fuck you too then, man. Why'd you sign up? Why did you enlist if you really, if you hate your fucking job? Quit. But anyway, that's not even the worst part. He answers their questions every fucking time. He describes, and he's open and honest. He doesn't hide anything, at least not that the movie gives any indication of. He doesn't hide or conceal anything from the crew. He doesn't even...
We found a faster route via Daniels Road and Palm Crossing Boulevard, which saves 3 minutes. If you prefer to stay on the current route, tap no thanks.
It's shown me no options, by the way. Fuck it. I'll just take this. I don't care. In a lot of science fiction movies where there's a scientist, you get this kind of mad scientist vibe. And they do it on purpose. Where the doctor who knows what's going on doesn't quite share everything. With the rescue team or the whatever that are there to figure things out. And towards the end, he becomes the antagonist because, he was secretly evil all along and he had this super secret experiment going that he didn't want people to find out about, or that it was classified so the rescue crew couldn't learn it or couldn't be told or whatever. And it's such horseshit. Oh, okay. I guess we are taking this other way. Okay, phone, well, fuck you too. I better get there on time, because if I don't, I'm going to be pissed. Burp. Okay. So, right, he's the opposite of the evil scientist cliche, because he's fucking open and excited. He wants to tell these people how cool his invention is and what's so special about the ship. He tells them how it works. He tells them... tells them what it does, how it works, why it works, why it was kept secret from the public, what really happened to the ship. And he even plays back a recording of the only transmission they received from the event horizon when it returned. So the guy, he's not the evil scientist. He doesn't hide anything. He's open and honest and friendly. And that whole crew, the entire movie, they absolutely shit on him, and it drives me nuts. And it's not made any better by the fact that he turns out to be the bad guy anyway. And the movie isn't clear again on whether he was evil the whole time, or whatever the ship brought back with him or with it corrupted him and made him evil. Because the movie likes to leave a lot of things vague. My skin's peeling, sorry. Oh, good. This light turned green. But it kind of sucks that he turned out to be the bad guy, because it sort of vindicates the crew treating him like absolute dog shit. But the really annoying thing is, he didn't deserve that at first. And they really didn't have any kind of legitimate reason to treat him like crap. But they did anyway. And that just bugs me. It's one of those... And nobody seems to ever notice that or care about it. They hand wave it away by saying, well, they're short-lived got canceled, so they're just grouchy, blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, but, he's not like Burke from... do I turn here? Looks like I turn here. Okay. This phone is definitely taking me out to the boonies. Google, don't fuck me here. But right. It just bugs me. He's not like Burke from Aliens, the corrupt corporate asshole who goes along with the rescue team, and he's there to sell everybody out and capture an alien specimen and bring it through quarantine, and everybody's expendable. It's not one of those things. Weir is just, I don't know. He's innocent. He's a good guy. And they just shit on him the whole time. It bugs me. Anyway, that's my Event Horizon rant with a sidebar concerning Doom and Warhammer 40K. And that's going to do it for me because I have arrived where I'm going. And yeah, I need to go take care of this. So that's it for me for now. I'll probably record another rant on the way back. So there might be some more video coming today or tomorrow. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one, and I'll catch you next time.